incident?
Okay, with the incident tool, when you go into the incident tool, you immediately pop into a screen that shows you some of your OSHA incident calculations that are just automatically handled and shown within the system. You can change, up on the upper right, you can change what year you're viewing, like if you want to look at previous years or you want to look at a different time frame, you can do that. Again, you can go up and print a report if you want to print. I haven't been going through that, but you can print reports from any of those previous tools. As you create a list and do a search, you can print reports from any of those, and they'll come out on your local default printer. Again, you've got your lock and your question mark. If you go into the stats tool, what that'll give you is just it gives you a nice report. You can go in and add columns to this. You can choose what you want to view in this report. You can hide columns. It's pretty comprehensive. Again, if you look up, I'm in as a corporate person for our demo site here. So all the various sites that are available are shown there on the left, and they summarize up into the various companies that we've set up. And again, it's just a dummy site that we've got a bunch of data just for demonstration purposes. So the data is probably not that relevant, but it just gives you an idea of a company with multiple divisions and with multiple sites, how they can view their data and get nice statistical reports on their data, and it's all automatically calculated in real time. If you go to the search reports tool, that gives you the ability to do a quick basic search on for a given series of data. Once you have data available, then you can graph it, you can look at it in a variety of different ways. You can also go into the advanced search. When you go into the advanced search, pretty much any of the data that's been gathered around a given incident can be graphed and searched. You could go search on who got their ankle hurt, who was working in the boiler area, who was working in what type of injuries they got, slipped, fell, fall. There's all kinds of data you can go into here and create statistical reports as well as graphs. Maybe just grab one and something that's real and pop up the graph. So there's a series of injuries. You can go into the individual injuries and look at the report. You can edit them. You can view them. What's that?
Oh, go ahead. Keep talking.
So it's pretty comprehensive. All the different things you can do a search on. And gather data. You can set, what range you want to look at, a month, you want to look at a year, what type of data you want to look at. It gives you a lot of options.
Kevin, can you modify the fields for my favorite incident report?
What?
Modify the fields.
For my favorite, what does it mean by my favorite incident?
If I have an incident report that I love, that we've been using for years, could you
yes.
create the fields in your software so that we have it on, we can go to...
Yeah, we can we've had clients that have said, we have to have our form and it has to look like our stuff, period. And, we can do that customization within the system. A lot of times the data may already be gathered in what tools we have here now. And so we just make sure that people don't have to do double data entry. We don't want it to have to go into your form and have to go into our system as well. So because this is just an example and it's not necessarily data that is we just put data in to have something to show. These graphs maybe are not as representative as you'd see within some of the other within a real report. But yeah, we can go in and customize that for specific clients if necessary. So that just gives you an idea of how you can see the reports. You can also do a bar graph, and we're continuing to enhance this tool. We've got a pretty big project with another client right now where we're adding capabilities to this tool as part of a customization that then will be available to everybody. And that's the other beauty of this tool is that's kind of how it's grown, is we get people that are using it or people that want to use it, and they come to us and say, we like your tool, but, and it's easy to use, but we want these other things like what Joe was saying. We want this to look like our stuff or to have these other capabilities. And we'll put those capabilities into the system, and then what we do is make that available to everybody. If somebody tells us, no, that's ours, and nobody else in the world is smart enough to figure that out, so we want to keep it for ourselves, we do that. But generally, our approach and our philosophy is safety's for everybody. So we want to share it with everybody, and we want to make everybody we can able to send their employees home safe. So we have not actually had a single client yet that told us we could not use what we developed for them, with enhancing our entire product line. So if you go into create, just go in real quickly. It's very simple for creating a new incident. You go in here, you just do, all these are set up where you can choose what type of incident it is, and that's actually fields that can be edited by us if you have different incidents.
No, they can edit them.
Oh, actually, you guys can edit those. You can add or change what type of incidents you want to track at this point. If you want to do fire, you want to do property, you want to do near misses. You can't change the OSHA reportables because those obviously have to go into the calculations that the system automatically does. But you go into each of these different places, and everything that's possible we've made into a pull-down field or a checkbox just to make it simple and easy to use. If you go in, go ahead and go to the next one that shows the tabs. As you enter your data for a given incident, it's kind of set up to where it's like a step-by-step procedure. You start at the right, or excuse me, at the left, and you work to the right across those tabs at the top. Whatever step you're in is highlighted in gray. So as you move across and you go to the next step, there's data that's collected in each of those steps. So it's a pretty powerful tool. The other thing that we've found people really like is if you go into the determining causes area, because each plant or each site can oftentimes be specific, you can go in here and you can author and create your own set of questions. You see all those questions there at the bottom, the potential causes, the potential things you can do based on the answers people give for those questions. That's all information and investigation techniques that you guys can create yourselves. So you can create your own tabs and add to them. You can create your own questions, and it really ends up becoming a powerful tool because then that data is stored and can be used in the future, for graphing, analysis, and so forth. The same thing on the findings and conclusions. We're finding people really like that. Again, this is where you would link back and do your follow-through. Like if you had actions that needed to be created based on this investigation, you could reference a policy and procedure that needed to be updated. You could reference an MSDS. You could reference a JSA. Or you could just load in any kind of files that you want to keep tied to this incident. If you had, there's actually a place under Workman's Comp where you can load into a confidential area. You can load all the medical files. It allows you to store everything associated with this incident right here in one central location where you can find it in the future. Okay, let's go on. Let's go on to the next tool at home. Interactive games, that's basically just a bingo game that is automatically tracked by the system. You can go in and pause it, start it. We don't keep track of the rules of what pauses and starts it. That we have different clients that are using that for engagement. If they do all these 21 activities, then they get a new bingo number for that day. If we in other cases they're using it in kind of what I call the traditional way. You guys have probably seen these kind of safety programs where as long as there's not a near miss or an incident, they will continue to increment the pot until somebody wins. I know that's kind of a controversial thing, but it can be used as a tool to incentivize people as long as you realize that you use it in the right way. Under the training tool, this allows you to go in and create your own categories. You can go in under your categories then and create modules for all of your employees. It's very fast and easy to add that. The system, when you go into a given mod or a given category, these are all the modules that are under that category. The system will track all the revision history for all of the data associated with each of these modules. So if you change materials, you add materials. it keeps track of all of that, so at any given point, you know exactly what the materials were that a person was trained on, and you can go in and print a report that would demonstrate that. The other thing is the system allows you to connect all of your employees to all of this training and to set the recurrence frequency that the training needs to occur. So if it needs to occur annually, every 6 months, you can set all that. When you go into the individual module, this is where you'd set up, and you can, again, you got the edit buttons off to the right. Because you're an administrator, you can go in and change that. You can set up what employee groups would be tied to this, so you can tie people by group rather than having to tie individual employees. When you get 1,000 employees in a given location, that's a lot of people to tie to training. It is probably a one-time task, but it's still a lot of people to tie. So that's why the employee groups can become important for setting this up. You can also go in and validate, who took the training, and then that's stored in that employee's record, basically in perpetuity. So you'll be able to track anybody's employee history, view that. You'll have signature pages you can store associated with the training that was given. It's very flexible, allows people a lot of opportunity to manage and track their training. If you go into the Manage Employee Training, that's where the search tool is, right? The filter.
Oh, yeah.
If you go into the Manage Employee Training, that's where you can go in and get the different reports that you really would like to probably see associated with your training. When's the next training due for a given employee? What employee is linked to what training? What training have they had? What groups are tied to what training? It's really, this filter tool is set up almost on all of our tools, and we tried to keep it as consistent as we could. As far as when you go in to search for something, again, it's pull down menus, and any of these reports that Kelly's generating can be printed. So you could have a list of upcoming trainings, a list of past due trainings, a list of all the trainings associated with a given employee. It's pretty comprehensive. Okay, let's jump into. Eventually, we don't have it right now, but eventually, we've had enough people request it that we're going to make it to where people can do online training with this, and we'll use what we'll get into a little later, the audit tool, to create questions that people can answer and have to score a given score before it'll allow them to count that training as being certified.